Hello fellow YouTubers, today I'm going to be doing a leak back test on a Mazda bt-50 engine out of a Ford Ranger 2007. Now I'm going to be determining if this has damaged the valves, because the head was recently rebuilt and it spun a bottom end bearing, so I want to just determine if this head that has recently been rebuilt is okay. There is a story behind this engine, and I will explain that at the end of near the end of the video, as to why it spun a bearing and what's actually happened to it. So anyway, this is more for people that are interested. So it's people that are more interested in a leak back test, I'm going to do that first, so it kind of fits in the description of the video. Right, so what I'm going to start off doing is I'm going to set these lobes in the right position, so they've got to be sticking up in the air, so there's less tension on the actual valves, so the followers are actually not pushing down on the valves, so the valves are then closed. So the cylinder should be shut, so nothing should be able to escape, no air, nothing. Now, here we go. So here is my my leak back tester. So I'm going to turn the compressor off in case that goes off. So I've got a cheap little Titan compressor here, going into a snap-on cylinder leak detector. So this is what I use in the van. So this is me partly mobile, and I work in a workshop, so I have certain tools scattered everywhere. So this, and then I have a cheap petrol Nielsen's compression tester, which I adapted because I didn't have anything that fitted the injector holes or the glow plug holes. The glow plugs were very long, so I found that they didn't fit. So anyway, so this is what I'm going to be using. It's a simple valve core being removed onto a pipe, onto a welded bit of piece there. Quite a basic, as long as it's all airtight. It does leak a little bit, but it doesn't leak enough to cause it to affect the actual readings of the leak back. So let's go from there. So let's stick this over here on my purposely empty drawer for this reason. So this gauge should end up at 0 on each one I do. So I'm going to be testing this one, cylinder 1 first. I'm going to do number 2, 3 and then 4. So I'm going to do this one and then turn it over and turn it over to these cam lobes that now detension these, because if you look, these are under tension because they're putting load on the actual valve in there, so they're open. So I want to close them all off, and then I'll do the same again so on those two, so I'll turn it over until they're all closed. Right, now, so let's plug this in. Compressor is primed and ready. So right now, these are ready to go. These are in the right place. I'll grab my little bodgery or do-it-yourself tool kind of job. Right now, I'm going to plug this in. There you go. And that is at 10%. To me, I'd be quite happy with that, because partly that might be the tool as well. But yes, that's 10% leak back. I don't know if you saw that gauge just there. Let me show you again. But it was at 10%. I have got to hold this with this tool. I've got to really hold this in place because it's trying to push it out, because obviously I'm holding all the pressure there. So if you look, it was at 10%. Yes, I don't know if you can see that. It was at 10%. But obviously I've got to wiggle it and push it harder to seal. So now that's that one done. I'm going to simply get my 1/2 inch bar, which is on the actual crank pulley. I'm going to turn it over. So turn it over. If you watch these lobes go around, I could do the next lobes that are up in the air, but I'll keep it simple. I'll do cylinder by cylinder. So right now they're pushing completely down, and they're both open. They're not both open, are they? But they're. There we go. Right, so here we are. So now the lobes are push on the valves, so valves are shut. Simply just move that over, switch the cylinder, and then ignore that one. That's done. It's tested. Right, now are we ready again? So we're going to do the same principle just on cylinder 2. So here we go. See what I mean? That tried to push straight out. There we go. So there we go. That is 0 cylinder leak back there. So that's number 2. It's quite basic to do. It's just having the right equipment and so on. So yeah, I've now got to turn it over for these cam lobes. Right, so and they're coming up to the top. Right, they are at the top right now. So let's do it again. So put that in cylinder 2. Just move that there. Put that in cylinder 2. Right. So now that's in cylinder 3. So put that in cylinder 3. Now, as you can see, they're shut. Right. This is the one that I suspect's damaged. So. Right, it's 20%. Now, weirdly, I have done some compression test on that the other day because I was concerned, and it's actually fine. So I'm just going to pause the video and I'm going to prime this compressor up a bit more so I can test it again and see if it seals. It might just be me not pushing hard enough on it or something silly like that. So just bear with me a moment and I'll get back to you. I'm just going to literally prime this compressor up because you won't be able to hear me when it's going off. Right, okay, I am back, and I have primed the compressor up again, so you can hear me now. Right, so as we were doing this, I'd just done a cylinder leak back, but I have done this before, so I should do this one again to make sure that that is correct, because it was at 0 earlier. I did just this cylinder at work because I was concerned about this one. This one's the one that's been through a lot of stress and strain. It had a few issues in the past and so on, which I'll explain at the end of the video. Right, so let's try this again. Are you ready? There you go. Oh, that's better. So I got 0 straight away. 0. So that's good. That's perfect. So that's another one done. Right now. So I'm relieved that that one's okay. Right, so. Right. Now, so I've spun that over again. So these have now come up round and they're off. These lobes. So, right, so here we go. I'm going to plug it in. It's going to tell us our answer. That's at 0 as well, as you can see, 0. So that is perfect. So if there was a leak back, it would chuck air either out this one or out this hole. These are the you would chuck it out the inlet or chuck it out the exhaust. So that'll be the valves, and then obviously if it chucks out a piston, you're in deep shit. It means you've got major issues. Right, so basically, right, we've determined that these are all actually okay. The valves have actually seated in nicely. They're not damaged or anything like that. The reason why I did a test, right, that is how you do a leak back test anyway, people. So if you want to stop the video there, that's fine. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it helpful. But I'm about to now talk about why I did a leak back test. So I did a leak back test on this because of the pure fact that what happened was I rebuilt the engine. So I rebuilt the head because I bought the vehicle for cheap. This is a project to make money. It's still going to make me money, but I've made a heck of a loss due to the issue I've had. Now I've rebuilt the head, and because I don't know what I did was I bought the vehicle. I done a leak back test because it wasn't firing, it wasn't starting. It was cranking over, but it just was not firing. Anyway, so I done a leak back test, and sure enough, I had a leak back, excessive leak back coming out of the intake. So they were shooting out of the intake, but on cylinder 3 it was absolutely fine, but the rockers were sheared on cylinder 3, the exhaust rockers. So I was a bit like, okay, that's weird. So anyway, so I took it all apart, checked it all out. There's a bit of metal swarf in there, but I didn't think anything of it. I thought, oh, it's just from the rockers. So anyway, I rebuilt the head at quite a cost. It cost me quite a bit. So I took the head off, rebuilt it, had it skimmed, had it pressure tested, had everything tested on it as I could. Lapped all the valves in, all done, all good to go. And then I put it all back together again, went to start it, and it knocked really badly. Now the guy didn't tell me this. He must have known, because there's usually a bottom end bearing. Basically what happened was I took the bottom end apart, found out that there was no bottom end bearings in one of the con rods, which was cylinder 3. So what was happening was it was actually making an awful rattle on the crankshaft. Now the reason why this engine's out is because I'm going to be taking this crankshaft out and getting it machined down and putting oversized bearings in it, or I might just get a new crankshaft yet. I don't know. I'm still deciding on what's happening with that area. But what had happened was there was so much swarf in there, the bottom end bearings, it chewed all of it up. The crank was fine, but it chewed up everything. So I wanted to kind of just check that was. I did try and put another bottom end bearing in there. I did measure it and it all looked fine, but I think where it was slightly oval, I didn't measure the whole way around. So that's a lesson learnt from me. And it was slightly oval because it had dented it, or it had done something to it, causing it to bind up. Because it ran lovely again after I put the bottom end bearing in there, the conrod bearing in there. It ran fine, and then it started knocking again, and it bound up, and it spun the bearing again. So this is where I'm at now. I basically took the engine out, checked everything up top, so everything up top's fine. So now I have to take the timing out, flip it upside down, and take the crank out and find out what's going on. But yeah, so this has been a bit of a dead loss for me, really. I was going to hopefully make quite a bit of money on this project, but it actually ends up going to be making probably not a lot. So I'm a bit disappointed in that aspect, but I have learned a lot about it. So it's been good fun and games. I've quite enjoyed doing things in my own time, but yeah, that is why I'm here now. So I'm just making sure that piston didn't travel too far up, smack the valves, and bend a few, because I don't want to do a bottom end rebuild and then find out that the top end's been knackered again. So yeah, I might well take the top end off anyway and replace the piston, but I will keep you updated if you want me to. Just put a comment in below and I'll keep you updated in the comments, or I can send you a message or whatnot somehow, keeping you updated and informed what's going on. But yeah, it's been a good learning process. I mean, it's a shame it's ended up getting this way, but yeah, that is why you do a leak back test, is so you just determine everything else is fine, because that'll explain why that these two followers broken. The guy must have removed them, because a bearing doesn't just spin and then disappear. A bearing spins and it sits in there, whereas this bearing, there was nothing in there. There's no bearing at all. So and the actual studs for the conrod were bent. They were clean on bent. So I'm worried the conrod's bent. So I'm going to replace the conrod for it and leave the piston in there. Hopefully when it's upside down, see if I can just take it out without taking the actual piston out. So we'll see. But yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you found it very helpful and interesting, hopefully. So yeah, take care for now.